Yeah. So Major, have you had any bad quizzing experiences over the years?
Oh, plenty of bad quizzing experiences. But the thing is, over a period of time, you've grown used to it. And even if it's a bad experience, you really try and take it in your stride and not really affect your momentum or whatever. But then one instance that definitely stays in mind because it's been something that happened very recently, just within the last 1 year. So this was an open quiz happening at a college in Bangalore. Let me not take the name of the college. So they had invited a quiz master. So it's a quiz master that none of us had seen before at a quiz. So about 25, 30 teams had turned up for that quiz, like you said, very early on in the morning. I had traveled all the way from Delhi, took a night flight, came to Bangalore only to attend that quiz and then go home. So got to the college and quizmaster comes to the venue and tells it's going to be a very, very simple quiz, 30 questions, write down the answers and I'll check the answers and I'll ensure the top 8 teams in the finals. Everything as you get to hear in the normal quiz happens. And prelims done. So after every prelims, all of us get together and discuss the answers. So once the prelims answers were revealed, we knew that we had the second highest score and we were qualifying comfortably. So Quizmaster comes and with the answer sheets, and his very first line was, so full disclosure, I have checked all the answer sheets 3 times each, and these are the top 6 teams. He was selecting only 6 teams. These are the top 6 teams. He calls out the name of the team that qualified first. Of course, they had qualified. They had the highest score. They qualified first. We were supposed to qualify next. He doesn't call our name. I said, okay, must have missed 1 or 2 points, so he must not have seen that. So okay. He calls out the second team, not our name. He calls out the third team, not our name. Fourth, fifth, sixth. So all 6 names called, and our name did not come up. So we knew that we had qualified, and everyone was so along with us. There was one other team that had suffered the same fate. So they had the third highest score. So the second and third highest scores were not announced uh, after the prelims. So like in any normal quiz, I went up to the quiz master and told him, "So this is the scene. So we have this much. I'm absolutely confident of this. So kindly recheck our papers." So he then says, "See, I have checked all papers 3 times. I'm not going to recheck them." Then I told him, "You said full disclosure, everything. I've checked 3 papers." I said, I'm ready to, you can throw me out if from this venue if my answer is, if my, what do you say, declaration is not correct. Please recheck our papers. He said, "No, I'm not going to recheck your papers. I don't think you have qualified. So this is my final decision." So despite us knowing that we had the second highest score, everyone else in the venue also knew that we had qualified. The quizmaster proved to be very stubborn. He did not entertain the request of a participant with regards to this. And this despite him telling full disclosure and everything. And I was really, really, really pissed off that day. Very rarely do I lose my cool in a quiz. And actually, my teammates had to catch me and take me out of the venue just to ensure that I did not lose my cool in the venue itself. But
And
after 10
the
minutes, it was
army
all
training
good.
would have come.
Just that uh, this left a very, very bad taste in the mouth. I mean, that was one incident that has definitely stayed in my mind over the last 1 year, where one of the worst experiences with regards, not too many. I don't think any quizmaster ever in my life has told me that we will not recheck your papers. Almost everyone has said yes. If at all there is a doubt, we will recheck papers. So this was one example where the quizmaster says full disclosure and said no rechecking, despite us having
So is
a
this guy
great
was
side.
the first time quiz master or something?
I had never seen him at a quiz previously.
Okay.
So I was told that this quizmaster had done another quiz at the same institution some 7, 8 years previously. So somebody actually dug up a tweet with regards to something similar happening in that old quiz as well, a 7, 8 year old tweet. So yeah, but after about 10 minutes, so we were all cool and back to, yeah, had a good time.
This was as a quizzer. Any experience as a quiz master?
Uh, Bad experiences as a quiz
Without any
master.
names, of course. So there's no problem.
Mm, See, as a quizmaster, I've always been tuned to, I mean, be as liberal as possible, be as. There have been a couple of instances where people have repeatedly, I mean, the question is there, I've explained the question some 4 or 5 times, but the same person, every single question, stands up and asks me to repeat the question again and again and again. So for the first 2 or 3 questions, it's fine. But this happens for 30 questions in the prelims. At some point, it becomes, I mean, you try and hold in as much as you can, but then at some point it just comes out.
And you have to be sarcastic, and that is the only way that you can get out of this.
Yeah, yeah. So it's happened a couple of times, but I've more or less tried to try to keep my cool as far as possible. Very rarely would you have seen me lose my temper or cool during a quiz, you as a participant or as a quiz master.
I think this is another tactics that teams use. That just as you are about to close pounce, I'll close pounce in 15 seconds, and they start asking you questions so that the other two teammates
Yeah.
can think. And I know a couple of people. I'll again not drop names. And so that person is the designated person to do that, because they know कि इन दोनों का ये strong है, so he will be like कि so you mean, oh, did you say sorry?
Which circuit is this?
This is Delhi. I know from Delhi at least.
I,
I have
Yeah,
had
Delhi. No offense intended. It's a very, it's a, what do you say? It's a real fun circuit with regards to incidents like this.
I have had the same person. So he's sitting in the next, basically as the next team, and I'm writing an answer, and he is able to discern what I'm writing because I pounced early, so he knows that I know the answer, and he's able to discern the answer looking at the pencil. Is what I
And
heard. I'm not sure.
The way the pen is moving.
Yes, because just as I pounced, he pounced with the same answer, and he was not looking. So you know, as a quizzer, right? He's not looking at the question, but he's looking at you, out of the corner of your eye. So I've been very careful against this quizzer, whoever this is.
I don't know if you can take names, we'll edit it out.
I'll take names later. You can after the recording is done. Yeah. And have you ever gone to a rigged quiz?
Rigged quiz. Let me try and remember. Not as an open quizzer. I don't think I've been to a rigged quiz as an open quizzer, but as a college quizzer, I've seen
Yeah,
quizzes.
college.
I've been part of quizzes where quizzes have been rigged, and you know that it's rigged, and it's so blatantly rigged that you don't know what to say.
I'll tell you an instance if Prithvi doesn't have.
Yeah,
anything.
go for it.
So in our college, KIIT, this was again an intra-college quiz. So again, 50, 60 people maybe come to such a quiz. And the quizmaster had a bit of quizzing experience, as in not very good, as in not too many of them. It was an NSS quiz. So it happened every year, sponsored by NSS. So me and I partnered with, so we were two of the better quizzers in the college. Navodip Gautam, I'm not sure if you know of him. He was my senior. So I sat with him, and we were pretty sure that we would win because very young audience and because it's an intra quiz. But what happened was, so this another finalist he's sitting alone. He's sitting like this, and he's answering questions, whatever is coming to him. So one of the answers, so you can tell that he doesn't know the answer. He doesn't know the context. The way the answer is also a giveaway. So one answer that they had, again, very simple. So which company owns Dettol? And it was a non-pounce quiz, so we couldn't pounce. So and he said, so I remember his face saying it. He couldn't say the answer, but the quiz master gave him, and our quiz club, which is Qtopia, of course, Major knows. Has Major gone? Okay, no. So we started clapping sarcastically, and I started clapping sarcastically. And there were 20 people or 25 people. All of them started sarcastically, clapping sarcastically. And the quiz master, he went red in the face, and he was like, "Kya ho raha hai? Maine kya kiya?" And things like that. And he was not like he is not a non-quizzer, but that is the one of the earliest memories of me learning that quizzes can be rigged.
Major, have you done this thing where you know that you don't know the answer properly, but you have some idea of it, and so you pounce on it, but you write it really bad so that no one can
We've contemplated doing this.
I've done this.
Contemplated doing this so many times. So basically, okay, I know 80% of the answer,
Yeah.
but the quizmaster probably will give me an egg if we pounce on this. So you try and make it as vague as possible. I mean, whatever means possible. Add information that is not required. Add some vague element. Right. Put in this one particular word in small letters so that the quizmaster thinks, okay, this is probably right. And so, I mean, we've tried. All of us have gone through this. All of us have tried all this.
So
You do anything to get points in a quiz.
remember what question this was? I don't
I get
remember. So there was this question. I don't remember the question exactly, but the second part was this has come recently in news. So I knew the first part. I said, "अरे ये news में आया था, ये क्यों लिखना है?" So and he was like, "हाँ हाँ ठीक है," and then he gave us full time. Because he was also like, "Why waste time on this?" Because everyone else was pouncing. So he
we
just
always like, even not on the bounce also, we try and hedge so much. We try and play for time, try and stretch out the answer as much as possible, add as many unwanted elements into the answer with the hope that, okay, this might be a lenient quizmaster, might give us points.
I
We've
know
tried
people.
this every time we don't have the complete idea. We always done this.
Yeah. Some of the teams give 3 answers, and quizmaster is like, give me one final answer. I think this has happened. Again, something I remembered was you are sometimes generic and writing an answer, then you are hoping that the quizmaster will be like, thoda specific karo, I'll give you the point. So in a GJQ1 quiz, in the last GJQ1, so I had the same. So I couldn't remember whether it was the Atlantic garbage patch or the Pacific garbage patch. The Pacific, right? So I said कि the great garbage patch लिखता हूँ, अगर specific चाहिए होगा तो Pacific लिख देंगे, specific चाहिए होगा तो Pacific लिख देंगे. And the quizmaster was like, नहीं ठीक है चलेगा. And then he gave us a negative. And again, I was like कि over smart बनना तो ठीक है, लेकिन यार ये तो नहीं करना चाहिए था हमारे साथ.
In such an instance, when you write that, and when the quizmaster has seen, always ask him, is this enough? Do you need more?
Yeah.
Always ask. We always done that. I mean, after having gone through the same experience that you're talking, we've tried this. Over smartness it's resulted in us getting next. So after that, the next pounds onwards, you always try and ask the quizmaster, you need more? You need something different?
Yeah. So talking about bad experiences, so something that I've seen most in your quizzes is people taking videos or clicking pictures of your photos, and of course those go through mails to other people. And you were initially in 2016 2015 2016 when I first started seeing your quizzes, you were you ignored anybody who did something like that, and that with time you were like politely you were trying to say, please don't do this. And then in a quiz I saw you saying ki, don't do this, I'll stop the quiz.
So the thing is, like I said, I end up doing 100 quizzes in a year. So let's say the quiz is happening in Bangalore, and the very next day, I'm supposed to do a quiz in, let's say, Delhi. I can definitely reuse some questions that I used in Bangalore in Delhi, because this literally nobody is going to be crazy enough to follow me from Bangalore to Delhi for a quiz. So the thing is, people click these pics, and then on WhatsApp, they go to people in Delhi. So it actually defeats the whole. So see, I have no issues with sharing my sets. I have no issues with people taking as many photos as they want, as long as they keep it to themselves. But that never ever happens. People, within 5 minutes, it's across the country, and that just, like I said, if you're setting 100 quiz in a year, it's the effort to set a full quiz. Like you need at least a couple of weeks to set a full quiz. That is the only reason why I tell people don't click photograph. I have nothing against people clicking photograph. Nothing against people clicking videos. They are free to videograph the entire quiz, provided they can assure me, promise me, it will not go out of their own hands. That's the only thing. People, I mean, and there's no spirit. So there are people who have done this. Like I know of people, I won't take names. They get people to click photographs in a city, and they know he might use these same questions in our city tomorrow. So let me get that person to click photos and send it to me. So just to avoid that happening, I always tell people, please.
I remember someone did this. I think you did an India quiz in Interrobang, and then someone clicked all the pictures and ran it on a WhatsApp group.
On, I think, the DQC WhatsApp group only.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was way back, like
Way back. This was 2016, 17.
Yeah, 16.
Probably I was there in the group. But I don't remember.
I think there was there for the quiz. I think it's not the quiz that you finished third. It was the year after that. It was not the first year, the second year.
Yeah, how do you remember
So-
when they had finished third and all?
No, that was because that was, I think, one of Major's favorite quizzes.
Okay, that makes
Yeah, like that was a very, very memorable year. I mean, the year these guys finished, they had a great comeback that year. They were just sure. I mean, if there was one more question, they would have won that quiz. I mean, they just finished second by about 7-8 points. I think they were on 182.5. And
I don't remember the scores at all. I don't know how you do, but okay.
all right. Major, through these episodes we've shot, whenever we ask someone who's their favorite quizmaster, your name almost always comes up. So, who has been your favorite quizmaster over the years?
So basically, I've had the good fortune of having attended splendid quizzes by a lot of people. So let me just list out my favorite ones first, and then I'll tell you my absolute favorite. So people whom I grew up with, people who I quizzed a lot with, Arun A.S., Sriram in Kerala, Arun Sriram, they said brilliant quizzes. So I've always loved their quizzes. My partners, Rishi Verma and Praveen VR. Rishi is an exceptional quizzer and quizmaster. He's the content head for Nexus. He sets great quizzes. VR doesn't set a lot of quizzes, but whenever he sets one, they are of the very highest quality. I love quizzes by Naveen Rajaram, Arun Hirigange, Dr. Naveen Jayakumar. They've all given us so many great quizzes. I mean, beautifully framed questions. Naveen's questions, especially beautifully framed questions. Dr. Naveen's questions at Landmark over the years have been a joy to watch and attempt and answer. Then Hari Parameshwaran, again, Hari sir, like when he was in India, he used to such amazing quizzes. I always loved to attend his quizzes. So always had a great time attending his quizzes. But if I had to pick one person who's influenced my life as a quizmaster, who's inspired me to put in a lot of things into the way I set questions, would be Dr. Arul Mani. So he was the perennial figure to us, all of us in Kerala. So he was the only outstation quizmaster who used to come every year to multiple quizzes in Kerala, NIT Calicut, College of Engineering Trivandrum, IIM Kozhikode. So about 10 to 15 years back. So we were all treated to such amazing quizzes by Dr. Arul Mani. And he was probably my primary inspiration of setting quizzes the way I do these days. So putting in elements of wordplay, highlighting things, a lot of things I picked up from Arul. So for example, I'll give you one example of a beautiful question by Dr. Arul, one of my all-time favorite questions. So this question was about a South Indian actress. He had not given any clues with regards to who this is. I had put in some background information of who this is. And this was a prelims question. And the final line of the question was this: who is this person known to us through a fabricated name?
You had asked this question, so I
So let Prithvi attempt this.
yeah, which is I am letting Prithvi.
His final question was, who is this person with a fabricated name? So fabricated, of course, it's a false name. It is also
Okay, got it. Yeah. This is Silk Smitha, right?
Silk Smitha. So basically, the answer is hidden in plain sight. So if you can focus on the word fabricated and assign that extra layer of meaning to it, along with it being a false name, if you get the fabric clue from that question, you immediately have the answer, Silk Smitha. So that is the kind of stuff I've tried to put into my own quizzes. So like all thanks to Dr. Arul Mani. So he's influenced me, and I'm fairly certain I can speak for a lot of quizzers of my age in Kerala who's had a formative influence on our lives as quizzers and quizmaster. Always thankful to him for giving us so many wonderful moments and having inspired us to do this for as long as we've done.
And now I realize I also have heard that podcast. So probably that's why I could get
Oh yeah. This was in
Oh, acha, must be the correct. Yeah.
the legend.
Big petition,
But
correct.
Yeah.
I've never been able to forget that question. I mean, it was like awesome, man. What a brilliant question. That's what there is so much information that you can put into a question if you have time and frame it the right way. So you can actually make every question the way this particular question. I mean, the fabricated nickname wala question.
Major, when were you introduced to pounds and bounds quizzing? Was it there?
While I was in towards my last years of college, sometime in the mid 2000s is when pounds started becoming a big thing in India. So my first initial few years of quizzing in college in Pune was all bounds. There was hardly any pounds, but gradually we saw this new system and all of us liked it. Okay, this will definitely ensure that the best team will always win. So all of us welcomed it with open hands.
So, is it an urban legend, or did Udupa actually invent it?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, we
No,
have to-
I have seen tweets that, as in his tweets, that he's kind of thinly veiled that he kind of created.
So Udupa himself attributes it to be a variation of what Mitesh Agarwal used to do in Bangalore.
Okay.
But I've been told that Dr. Arulmani used to do this even before that. So not too sure about the origins of pounds. Just that I've been introduced to it only in the mid 2000s. So probably that is around when that the system came into being.
So Major, we had asked you to prepare a PPT for us and our viewers with a few of your favorite questions. I'm sure you could never distill it down to a few of them, but
No, if you ask me, every question I frame as my favorite question. So, but yeah, I think I've put together 4 or 5 questions, so which according to me are my favorites for multiple reasons. It could be something very personal. It could be something to do with the the funda behind the question, some minor reason. So I think put together about 5 questions. So I can actually share my screen and show you the question.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would have seen this question on Auto1. Sally Ride was the first American woman in space in 1983 and remains the youngest American astronaut to have done so at the age of 32. A part of 2 missions in 1983 and 84, she spent a total of 14 days and 7 hours in orbit, which was recorded on tape by NASA. This footage of Sally Ride found an unexpected use half a decade later, late 1980s that is, because it provided a base on which something was modeled. What is the question? And these are the visuals that I had in support. Sally Ride in orbit. Couple of images. I also had an image of Sunita Williams, only because whatever I wanted people to focus on is more apparent in this image than these 2 images. So you know the answer, right?
I already know.
I was there in the quiz.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you I think had this in DTU.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, and I think that night only people were talking about this question. So I knew about it way before you put it on Auto1.
So this, of course, is the reason why the funda behind them animating the movement of Ariel's hair underwater. I mean, look what a funda. I mean, something that happened in space. They could not animate the movement of hair in water, but they immediately connected. There is some other medium where hair again does float. You can actually use that as a baseline and animate the movement of Ariel's hair based on that, which is how the movement of space travelers the movement of the hair of space travelers was picked and used as the basis for the movement of Ariel's hair underwater. This remains one of my favorite questions because of something totally disconnected from entertainment, finding use in an entirely different context. And I mean, like it has stood out for me with regards to the funda behind the questions. Like such a brilliant concept, such a brilliant piece of thinking by the animators, and really love this funda.
So where did you stumble upon this fact?
I always actually put whenever I frame a question, I always put the link to the whichever source, whatever source I had, on the notes section immediately beneath the slide. There's a small notes section. I always put it. So I think I came up on this on Guardian. Guardian has been my number 1 source for years. So you read Guardian number 1 source primarily because it's free. So I believe in the fact that that information should be free. So I've regularly read Guardian for the past many years. So Guardian has archives of up to 150 years. So you stumble upon one line somewhere, And that one line, once you get, you can actually build upon it, research more on it. Go to Google Books. Google Books is another source that I've had. So Google Books gives you so much information that is not available on Google proper. So always verified fun day that I have had in my quizzes using Google Books. So this is, I think, based on a Guardian article. Question number 2. This song is played at 2 different occasions in a 1998 Hindi movie, and both the times over the radio. Now, both the times it is incomplete and played in parts only. The first part coincides with the male lead narrating his encounter with a female stranger in black at a railway station over the radio, with the song running in the background. The second part appears when the lady referenced is shown to be preparing for something, and if I may add, for something not really good. The song acts as a distraction and pulls her towards the radio set. She turns it off but cannot resist the urge to turn it back on. Which song? More importantly, what was the reason why the song was played in parts in the film?
Okay, so I think both Prithvi and I know this because
I think both of you were at that quiz when this question was asked.
I
So this
are
is
all
what-
your favorite questions from Delhi sets?
You can just go ahead and answer it.
Yeah.
So this is मैं यहाँ टुकड़ों में जी रहा हूँ, and I think that is the reason. Prithvi, reason तो यही हुआ ना?
The song is
टुकड़ों
called
में-
Ajnabi.
Yeah, as Nabi of course. हाँ.
So this, of course, is the song. Oh, it says cannot play media. I don't know why.
I think
So
we can
basically,
sing
this
it.
is A Ajnabi from Dil Se. So Maniratnam decided to play the song in parts because the song has the line "Tukdo mein main ji raha hu." So he wanted to go larger than life. So it's a metaphorical way. The song is living in parts. So this is why in this film also the song is in parts. Again, beautiful funda. Again, the source for this was a book. So I think a compilation of 50 Hindi songs by Aniruddha Bhattacharjee and Balaji Vidya. Aniruddha Bhattacharjee would know, again, a prominent quizzer himself. So I think this was the second last chapter of the book. So beautiful book, plenty of fun day there. So this, I think, was a source for this question. A good number of questions that I asked actually come from books. So as you had correctly pointed out, so you have the whole menagerie here.
So this is one of my the quiz that we are talking about is my all-time favorite quiz, I think, to have sat in. And this is one of those.
Stephen's quiz, right?
Yeah, Stephen. So it is one of those instances where you feel like for a movie, like you want to go and revisit it again as in you don't know anything about the quiz, but you want to kind of revisit it as a innocent viewer. I think this is one of those quizzes where I would like to go back without knowing anything and again be in awe of the whole quiz because it was
Yeah, that
just,
was a great day. I mean, like the hall was full. It was a small hall, but great atmosphere. That I don't think we had fans even there, but brilliant atmosphere there. Loved that quiz. The prelims actually happened in the big hall,
yeah.
and then we moved to the small classroom.
This was also, I'm not sure for Abhinav, but this was the first time I attended your quiz. There was one session that you'd sent over for DQC, which was conducted by someone else. But this was the first time that you.
I think Jayant conducted that
Jayant
certified.
conducted that, yeah.
And you qualified for this, and I hate you for that.
Yeah, I have to piggybacked around Vishnu and Gokul.
So question number 3. Cinder Lake is a place located in the northeast of the town of Flagstaff in Arizona, and is named so due to the old black cinder fields and extinct volcano present there. In the mid 1960s, the region saw a lot of activity in the form of a series of carefully timed and very precise explosions. Approximately 312.5 pounds of dynamite and 13,498 pounds of fertilizer mixed with fuel oil were used in the first round. But the individual payload of each explosion was different. Why was this being done? Look at the general area. You have a rough idea of how Arizona looks like, and the soil there is volcanic dust. The payload of each explosion is different. They're conducting these explosions on ground, in the soil. Imagine multiple such explosions happening, and look at the timeline and take a guess as to why they were doing this. I have a couple of images. Let's take a look at the images as well. I have a very helpful clue of image after this one. This is the final. This is after all the explosions had happened. This is how it looks like after all the explosions had taken place. So let's say the top, the huge thing at the center on top, that is where the heavier payload was. You can see multiple ones. That's where the payload was on a lower scale. So why were they doing this in the mid 1960s?
Yeah. Prithvi, do you want to take a guess? Because I think
Okay, I'll take it. Is Major here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Is this something to do with they were trying to recreate the moon surface for the lunar landings?
Perfect answer there. So this is how they actually trained the astronauts for the moon landing. So they had no what do you say, reference point to work with regards to the moon surface itself. So they actually artificially created the moon surface, something that was the closest possible match, a volcanic outpost, and then they went and created artificial craters, and that is how the Apollo astronauts trained and ultimately could do their stuff on the moon. So this again, I mean, one of my favorite questions because of again the level to which they went to get their work done perfectly. That they had left nothing. What do you say? No stone unturned, and they did everything possible to ensure that the astronauts were well prepared. And again, stands out as one of my favorite questions. Yeah, this one is a favorite question of mine, primarily because this happened in my own hometown. And I never could imagine that, oh man, this is happening, something like this. Let's take a look. Nilambur is a municipality and taluk in the Malappuram district of Kerala, and home to me, home to this quiz master myself. One of the noted educational institutions here at the Cooperative College, and the college received its permanent buildings only around 2005-6, and this happened only due to the availability of cheap construction materials. Civil contractors in charge of the building's construction bought nearly 180 iron pipes, 4 inch in thickness and 8 feet long, from a local wholesale dealer named Ralco, who in turn received it from a Chennai-based importer named Shabari Exxon. The material was sturdy, cost rupees 25 per kg, and was used for construction activities in Coimbatore and Ludhiana as well. Tell me, what exactly did they use to build this college in Nilambur? What were they making use of? Look at the timeline. The buildings came up in 2005-6, which means the material has been around for a few years earlier. And look at the fact that ultimately they got it from a Chennai-based importer, which means they are importing it from some other country. So what exactly is this material? And look at the kind of material: iron pipes, 4 inch thickness and 8 feet long. And it was extremely cheap because they wanted to dispose of all that material somehow. So they sold it for very, very cheap prices.
Okay. Prithvi, do you know any INS which was dismantled at that time?
And the reason why this is my favorite is because it's like, what are the odds of this happening in my own hometown? I was like, of all the places in the world, this is happening in my own hometown.
Yeah, so which is why I wasn't thinking of INS. I am thinking.
But again, you can maybe rule out INS because it's imported.
Yeah.
If it had been INS, then it would be somewhere in India only. They're importing it from some other country. The kind of material, the basic material required, it's like concrete, iron pipes.
WTC.
Where did they get this from? Superb answer there. So this is the college itself, and this is the debris of the World Trade Center. After the 9/11 explosions happened, they were left with a lot of rubble. So what they did was they did different places across the world and auctioned it off and used it for the construction of other buildings. And what are the odds of 9/11 debris used for a building in my own hometown? So that is why this stands out as a favorite question for me, simply because it's right next door, and I had no idea about this until I framed this question. The event happened in 2001, and I did not know about this until 2018. So it was like I was framing the quiz. I was, like you mentioned, somebody was sitting like this and answering questions. So I was always sitting like this and framing questions. And when this funda came out, I was like, I just sat for 15-20 minutes and I had to take it, and oh man, what a funda.
Like one of those mind blown moments.
Absolutely. So like whenever I select questions for a quiz, I select such questions mostly like a position when I manage to sit up like this. So those are the kind of questions I generally put into a quiz. Questions of Monday that make me sit up like that.
Then why are you even going like this? Then I think for you it has to be permanently like this.
E.P. Rajesh, a resident of Parur, and K.U. Shashidharan, a film artist from Karaparamba, were two among the 10 odd people who had applied for a daily wage job that should have seen over 1,000 applications in the Kozhikode district of Kerala earlier this year. This was happening in 2018. When I framed this question, this was a 2018 question. The job involved shifts of 6 or 12 hours, with them facing constraints such as holding in their urine, etc., for as long as possible. Now, someone cited them on 3rd June in the middle of their routine and followed them until they had reached an incline. This person described this to be a sighting of astronauts who had no real idea about what they were venturing into, but still bravely went ahead. Where would one have seen Rajesh and Shashidharan? And this is a favorite of mine, primarily because, first of all, it happened in the general area where I'm from, Calicut. Secondly, I mean, this probably is the biggest ever coincidence I've ever had in my entire life. So this is the guy who saw those two people. This is the guy who sighted them and followed them till that incline. You wouldn't be able to recognize him. So he's a famous famous person in Kerala circle. So people in Kerala would be able to the specific audience. I'll tell you this much: this guy was a photographer.
Okay. I have a
Look at the of astronauts. So think of how astronauts would look like. The fact that he used the word astronauts, bravely went ahead, which means there was some kind of danger involved, but still they bravely went ahead. Timeline is 2018. This is happening in Calicut. And look at the fact that they had to hold in their urine for as long as possible. Something that a lot of people have to do in recent times as well. This again is an answer, the question and answer specifically designed for the local audience. So they immediately got the reference. But the reason behind this question featuring in this set of 5 is because of this being, what do you say, probably the greatest ever coincidence in my life. This is the Nipah virus, the Nipah outbreak in on the extreme right is a photographer named Sajan Nambiar. So he went and so this is the famous photograph that appeared in Kerala of these two people on the cover of at Calicut Medical College disposing of the waste material at the Nipah ward in Calicut Medical College. So very famous photograph, and they were in the exact same look as that of an astronaut. They did not know the dangers of Nipah, still they volunteered. So which is why this photograph received a lot of publicity. So he went back and connected with it again and recreated that same photograph during better times. And now the reason why this is a favorite of mine, I had framed this for NIT Calicut's Tattva in 2018. And the quiz was happening Saturday evening, I think. And Calicut is about an hour and a half from my home. So I finished setting the quiz, and this was the very last question that I set. So basically, when I set a quiz, so I always put in 2 or 3 local questions, and they are the last questions that I always frame. Okay, and so this was the very last question I framed and inserted this as the first finals question and went to Calicut. So I got down, I took a bus to Calicut, got down at the Calicut station, got out of the bus. I was getting out of the bus. So I saw somebody just parking his bike right in front of me. And I just couldn't believe my eyes. I went up to that person and told him, "Aren't you so-and-so?" He said, "Yes, how do you know?" Then I told him, I just saw your photo just 2 hours back. I met that exact same person after getting down. Right 2 hours after I had framed the question. And what are the odds of this happening? And this, I have had nothing beat this with regards to coincidence ever in my life. And he himself couldn't believe, what do you say, something like this happening. I showed him the question. He loved the question. We are good friends on Facebook now, following that instance. So yeah, I mean, this remains a favorite because of this one instance. There are many more questions that I could pick to answer your question, but I think we'll do it in some other quiz. I think you have a.
Okay. So one of the things that we ask everybody on our podcast is what are the things that you like about physics? I think we have discussed a lot of things, but if you had to just talk about a few things.
First and foremost, quizzing is something that has opened my eyes to everything around me. So it's helped me take an interest in books I never knew existed. It's something that told me, oh, there is this movie, please go watch. It's going to be an awesome film. It's something that opened up the world of so many musical acts, musical genres. So none of this would have happened if quizzing had not happened in my life. I would have remained ignorant of all these wonderful people, be it musicians, be it movies, be it books. Quizzing is one thing that literally opened my world up, literally opened my imagination up, literally opened my entire world up. So I'm incredibly indebted to quizzing for happening in my life and letting all this unravel themselves. Secondly, quizzing is something that has given me the best friends in my life. Most people who are quizzers that I know are my friends first, and then I regard them as quizzers. So the finest people that I know in my life are all quizzers, and I'm again thankful to quizzing for giving me the best possible friends. People who do not judge things based on one particular aspect. People who generally, majority of them, have tried to keep an open mind, have not judged things on the basis of one or two aspects. So people who are generally good. If you go to a fest like Askans, so you will find the 400, 500 best minds in there. So you have this famous photograph of the Solvay conference that always keeps coming up in quizzes, the famous scientists. So the parallel in the quizzing world would be Askans and Bangalore at IIT, the best 400, 500 minds in the country under one single roof, all of whom are friends with each other, at times fight with each other as well, but mainly friends with each other. So these two, in my opinion, would be the best things about quizzing. Friendships that you forge for life, and the fact that you change as a person for the better. You open up, you become a much better person after a few years as a quizzer, is what I've generally seen. And I'm talking about myself as well. I mean, it's what has happened in my own life.
Right.
In fact, after quizzes, there have been a couple of Arulmani quizzes where his book quizzes. I have actually gone and bought all the books mentioned in there only because they were so good. Like, if that quiz had not happened, I would not have come across those books. So quizzes open up your world like unlike anything else.
And you have hidden the book in corners of blossoms also.
Some books I have taken home, but others are. I think the last time I visited Blossom was in March, so I think 7-8 books are still hidden. Hopefully, still hidden. I always click snaps of the places where I hide them so that I don't forget after a couple of months.
Oh, I mean, that is such an interesting story. When I first read it, I was like,
The thing is, see, I travel from Bangalore to Kerala, and there's a limit to the number of books that you can carry on a bus or on a flight. So I can only maybe carry 10 or 15 books. So if I find, say, 20, 25 interesting books, there's no other way. And I don't want anyone else to take them.
All right. Major, taking a 180-degree turn, what would you like to change about quizzing, or what do you don't like about the book?
What do I don't like about quizzing? First and foremost, one thing that I've seen with regards to quizzing is that a majority of people in the country do not know what quizzing is all about. It's what I felt about quizzing. It's a subculture that has it's remained underground for a very, very long time. It's an extremely strong underground with very prominent connections between people across the country, and hardly anyone knows about this prominent subculture. And I think the subculture needs to come out. People should know what real quizzing is all about. So quizzing is not something like a TV show where 4 multiple choice questions are shown. Quizzing is about sitting as friends, analyzing stuff presented to you like a proper story, piecing the clues together, and then arrive at that aha moment, and the kind of joy that gives you. That, I mean, it can be experienced only if you're a quizzer, and if you know what a quiz is like, if you attend a few quizzes. And so for that to happen, I mean, the only way to make that happen is to, the one point I was conveying earlier, when newbies come into quizzing, ensure that you don't turn them away, don't be snobs. Please be receptive of everyone. Just because you've been quizzing for the last, say, 25, 30 years, don't hold yourself at a higher pedestal. These are also people who are interested in knowing more about the world around themselves. So try and be nice to them, try and tell them what to do, introduce them gradually into. So it'll be very difficult for a college quizzer to make a transition. It's a lot of people give up college quizzing after school when they go to college. And a lot of people give up quizzing from college to open only because the gulf is too high. So as if you're a college quizzer, you can always make the life of a school quizzer better. If you're an open quizzer, you can always make the life of a college quizzer better. So my thing would be like people should be receptive to this idea as well and ensure that whoever is coming new into quizzing, you should try and be nice to them, and you should try and ensure that they all have a good time and grow up to be better quizzers. There are many more things about quizzing that I would like to change, but then they're all, let's say, a consequence of various social issues prevailing in our country, and that would be an entirely different to our talk altogether. So let's not go into that. So if you ask me, prima facie, these are the couple of points that I would like to immediately see change in the world of quizzing. That quizzing as a culture needs more recognition, and we can make that happen. And we should all try to be better people and ensure that more people come into quizzing.
Thank you, Major, for your time. But I think one thing we want to ask you before we go is, so because your episode is the season finale, basically, as Prithvi says, it feels like a reality show if I call it a season finale. So who would you like to see on a podcast like ours, or a podcast like ours? I always call it a podcast.
A
Yeah.
quizzer?
Anybody, as in whoever would be able to answer something like this or in the general interest.
I would definitely like to see people like Dr. Arulmani, Samanth. Samanth has been a host for such programs for a very long time. Very rarely has been at the other end, people asking him questions. He's always anchored such podcasts and shows. So, and again, he would make an excellent personality on a show like this. Dr. Arulmani would make an excellent personality on a show like this. Many people I would like to see. My teammates, I would like to see them. I would like to know what Rishi and Viya's views are about all the questions that you just asked me, and then troll them on their replies. So I mean, there are no bigger trolls of us than our own teammates. So we've always, every day. So we have a WhatsApp quiz group, the three of us. It was created to ask each other questions. Till date, not one question has been answered. It's only trolling that happens there. Memes are shared there. Nothing else happens there.
The two names that you took, I think we had already kind of guessed that you would say Dr. Arulmani. But I think
Dr. Naveen Jaikumar would make an excellent, guest
I
on
think
a show like this.
these are very intimidating names for us.
Yeah.
You want a less...
No. Just trying to say that because they are people of...
Believe me, having interacted with Arul, Samanth at a very, very personal level, they are exceptional people. Once you get to know them well, they are exceptional, gentle, caring, funny, happy-go-lucky people. And it's only because maybe you have not really gone up to them and talked to them. You sit with them, have a drink, and all the ice can be broken. In fact, I mean, I would like to see almost all quizzers on your show for that matter. I mean, all the quizzers that I personally know, the 2,000-3,000 quizzers I know, they should all ideally feature on the show. It should be like a Doctor Who, marathon, all 900 episodes. So all 900 quizzers active in India currently should be on the show.
We'll have to do daily episodes to
Probably
make that possible.
And like the pandemic is going to be there for about 2 years, so you can 730 days. So 730 quizzes can be done.
So I think that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you all for tuning in, and most of all, thank you, Major, for giving us.
Thank you so much, Prithvi and Abhinav. I mean, it's been a pleasure. I mean, I just checked the time and did not realize that nearly 4 hours are
3.5.
done. Great fun. Really, really enjoyed being here. I haven't had this kind of a workout for a very, very long time.
Yeah.